It's the end of the year, ladies and gentlemen, and it's time to decide who's going to be the best girl of 2022. So I came up with some criterias which I will include in my judgment. They must have a personality and must have left a strong impression on me. I'm looking for a good character design. They basically just have to look cool and had to introduce themselves in an anime this year. So characters from last year I'm not including in this list. Honestly, I was going to put Delta here at number 10. But because she has so little screen time and her you can kind of tell her what her personality's like, but from like the little information we've been given, I don't think it's sufficient enough to actually make them any higher. But I kind of just decided to put all of Shadow Garden here because they're basically all pretty much the same to me, right? You can tell their personalities by the way they're dressed or the way they act, but I don't really think it's enough to actually push me into liking the characters any more than surface level, really, but you can tell the author is trying to emphasize certain characters over others, right? So I do want to know more about like the lore, backstory, why are they doing what they're doing, They give kind of a surface level reason of why they're doing it, but I don't think it's enough for me to really engage with like some of the characters, right? Don't get me wrong though, the characters are very entertaining to watch when they are on screen, right? So it's not like super terrible. If you haven't gotten around to watching Akiba Maid Wars, you're doing yourself a disservice because Branko is like one of the best characters in the whole entire show, right? She's like super mature and she's a maid. She doesn't really smile often, but every time she's on the screen, she's very entertaining to watch. She's like a 30-year-old maid and me and her are about the same age. So whenever she's just doing something, it just makes it more fun to watch. Roxanne from Slave Harmon in the Labyrinth. Backstories for days, which explains why the character is doing what you're doing, Complex and very nuanced relationships between characters. This story is a must watch. Alright, I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize. I'm sorry. Just watch the clips. Honestly, there's no story here. It's just I had to put Roxanne here, right? I just had to. I just couldn't. Honestly, I was thinking about putting her higher, matter of fact. But, I don't know. Guess her person, I don't know. Roxanne had to be on my clip. I'm so sorry. Licorice Recoil, I would say I've watched about 70% of it, and I would actually put Chisato and Takina like right here. I couldn't decide between the two. Maybe more Takina than Chisato, because Chisato just feels like cheerful, bright, and she's just like super energetic, and she was basically the same character throughout the whole series, right? But with Takina, she did go through somewhat of like a character arc, personality changed, and she just seemed more badass to me, right? And usually the melancholy type of person is what I usually lean towards anyways. So, but I would basically put both of them here because I feel like they complement each other so well that it'd be kind of weird not to, right? They come as like a pair to me, basically. So I'm pretty much certain by now that everyone has watched Cyberpunk Edgerunners. And one of my favorite characters, I would have to say, is Rebecca. Rebecca's personality was just awesome. She was playful and also stubborn, and I really liked her unwavering loyalty to the people that she cares about. Her design was just so good. Like her tattoos and like her eyes and like the colors. And it really fits her personality. So it was just like a win-win situation, right? I was like, bro, this is perfect. Like just if I imagined her without actually seeing the character, I would somewhat imagine her something like that. She had a very lasting impression on me, and of course all the fan art I've seen of her, right? So that's why I would put her here. Call of the Night would have to be one of my favorite anime this year. One of the characters who stands out the most to me is the cute vampire Nazuna. I just love her carefree way of living. She has no responsibilities at all. All she does is drink, sleep, and play games, and roam around the city streets at night, which is my ideal lifestyle. Nazuna is pretty laid back, and she seems like the type of person who would be pretty great to get along with. If you haven't watched Made in Abyss this season, they introduced Fabita, and I would have to say she would be number 3, right? Because she has a very sad backstory, right? She's basically a manifestation of her mother's like hate and grief at having her children eaten, right? Her mother's children, not Fabita's children, right? So basically, Fabita is basically dead set on killing these villagers who participated in this like gruesome act, right? But she can't get into the village because of like a magic barrier. Anyway, she has a solid backstory with great motivation for what she's doing. And it makes you think if you should like root for her to win or should you like condone her actions. Because I'm like, man, that's kind of messed up. You're gonna kill all of these people for like something that happened in the past. She's super unreasonable, unstable, possessive, and jealous, and it makes it super entertaining every time she's on the screen just to see what she's gonna do. Because to me, she seems so unpredictable, and her design is so good. Mirako from My Hero Academia was just like amazing, right? She has rabbit ear, she has muscles, and have you seen her fight with the high-end Nomus? It was so good. Like all the energy that she was just like giving off, right? Like I felt like jumping in there and helping her out. I was like, bro, this is so good. So I ended up putting Mirako here because I just felt like her introduction was like so good. And at this point in time, I just want to watch the show My Hero Mirako, right? 100 episodes. And just give me like 100 episodes of like her backstory, why she's doing what she's doing. Because of course she didn't really get much screen time, but I'm like so curious. I'm like, bro, I want more Mirako on the screen, right? I don't even care about the rest of these heroes. The villains are super good, but a lot of the heroes I don't really like. So I just want Mirako beating up the villains, right? With her own story, own backstory, why she's doing what she's doing, you know, so I can get to know Mirako more, right? But like the energy she gives off and her design are just super good. Bocchi the Rock. So there's a whole story behind this. I had a friend who basically told me I needed to watch Bocchi the Rock, and I had decided to watch it. I'd watched one episode and I was like, meh. But then I came back a couple days later and I binge watched the whole thing because I decided it was super good and I didn't realize how good it was. Bocchi, the main character of the series, reminds me a lot of myself. She was basically outcast from school and she decided to get into the hobby of playing the guitar to make friends. But she has extreme social anxiety, so whenever she tries to make friends, she just can't do it. She basically reminds me of an actual person from her motivation and backstory and why she's doing what she's doing, but she ends up joining a band and trying to overcome her extreme social anxiety. The reason I put Bocchi so high is because she's extremely hilarious and her over-analyzing of everything just makes her entertaining to watch whenever she's on screen. Since you already saw the thumbnail, you already know that Power is number one. I just can't stop myself from loving her. Power is a compulsive liar. She's unapologetic and have no remorse, and her lies are super obvious, and I love it. Everyone should love Power in all her greatness. She even created a Nobel Peace Prize. She has a huge ball of energy and really makes me believe the voice actor is doing God's work. She only cares about Meowie initially, but then slowly starts to care about Denji and the rest of the gang. She's consistent till the end and authentic. Think she's a really well-written character. She has very memorable dialogue, and every time she's on screen, it's just very entertaining to watch her. A lot of good animes came out this year, and hopefully next year we'll have an awesome list of animes to talk about. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, my list for 2022's best female character. Let me know in the comments section who your favorites are.